Imagine a city with a population of 5,000 people. It has an airport, a police station, a hospital, 3 gyms, a Starbucks, and a church. Now imagine taking that entire city, wrapping it in 4 inches of armored steel, and dropping it into the middle of the Pacific Ocean, 1,000 miles from the nearest coastline. There is no sunlight inside. There is no silence. There is only the hum, a constant low-frequency vibration that rattles your teeth and shakes your bones. It comes from 2 nuclear reactors buried deep within the hull, generating enough power to light up a city the size of Albany. This is a United States Navy aircraft carrier. To the enemy, it is a weapon of mass destruction, a floating airbase capable of toppling governments. But to the 5,000 men and women trapped inside its metal belly, it is simply the boat. It is the most complex machine ever built by human hands. But today, we are not going to talk about the fighter jets. We are not going to talk about the missiles or the politics. We are going to talk about the people. How do you feed a population the size of a small town when you haven't seen land in 3 months? How do you do laundry for 5,000 people? Where does the poop go? And how do you keep from losing your mind when you live in a windowless box, sleeping 3 feet away from a nuclear reactor? Welcome to the hidden world of the Blue Water Navy. This is not Top Gun. This is survival. The day does not begin with the sun. Down here on the 3rd deck below the waterline, the sun is just a rumor. The day begins with an alarm you cannot snooze. You wake up in the rack. Calling it a bed is a lie. It is an aluminum shelf 6 feet long and 28 inches wide. It is barely larger than a coffin. If you are claustrophobic, you don't belong here. You sleep stacked 3 high. If you are on the top bunk, your nose is 6 inches from the pipes and wires running along the ceiling. If you are on the bottom, you are inches from the floor. Privacy, it doesn't exist. Your entire private world is a curtain. That piece of blue cloth is the only barrier between you and 60 other people in the berthing compartment. Some are snoring, some are coughing, some are watching movies on tablets with headphones. The smell is unique. It is a mixture of floor wax, stale air, boot polish, and human bodies. You slide out of your rack, trying not to step on your shipmate's face. You grab your shower shoes. Rule number 1 of carrier life: never, ever touch the bathroom floor with your bare feet. The bathroom, or the head, is an industrial nightmare. Imagine a locker room shared by 100 people. The stainless steel toilets are bolted to the wall. There are no dividers. Modesty died the moment you walked up the gangplank. The showers are timed. You don't take a shower to relax. You take a Navy shower. Water on, get wet, water off, soap up. Water on, rinse, get out. 2 minutes max. If you take longer, someone will bang on the door. Not because they are mean, but because the line behind you is 10 people deep, and everyone is late for watch. You return to your locker. It is called a stand-up. It is roughly the size of a high school locker. Everything you own for the next 6, 7, or 9 months must fit in there. Your uniforms, your underwear, your photos of home, your stash of snacks. If it doesn't fit, you don't bring it. This is the morning ritual. It is cramped. It is loud. It is uncomfortable. But after a few weeks, a strange thing happens. It becomes normal. The lack of space forces a bond between sailors that civilians will never understand. You don't just work with these people, you breathe the same air, you share the same germs, you become family by necessity. Now let's talk about the most critical mission on the ship. It isn't launching jets, it is feeding the beast. Napoleon famously said, "An army marches on its stomach." Well, a Navy carrier floats on it. If the reactors stop, the ship stops. But if the kitchen stops, the crew riots. Welcome to the Galley. Forget your idea of a kitchen. This is a factory of calories. The scale of operation here is staggering. Every single day, the Culinary Specialists, the CS, prepare 18,000 meals. Read that again, 18,000 meals. Let's look at the grocery list for a single day. Breakfast requires 12,000 eggs, not 1,200, 12,000. Lunch takes 2,000 pounds of chicken. Dinner might require 1,500 pounds of roast beef. And the milk, the crew drinks 600 gallons of milk every 24 hours. The heat in the galley is intense. The ovens are massive industrial units that never turn off. The deep fryers are bubbling 24/7. The floor is made of non-slip tile, but it's always slightly greasy. And remember, this kitchen moves. When the ship hits rough seas, or when the captain orders a high-speed turn to launch aircraft into the wind, the entire room tilts. Imagine trying to bake a cake when gravity suddenly shifts 15 degrees to the left. The cooks learn the sea stance, legs wide, knees bent, anticipating the roll of the ocean. Pots are clamped down to the burners, trays are secured, but accidents happen. A spilled vat of soup on a carrier isn't just a mess, it's a safety hazard. Hot oil in a fryer during a storm is a terrifying thing, yet the service never stops. The food itself is a subject of constant debate. Some days it is surprisingly good. Burger days or pizza nights are morale boosters. The cooks try their best. They bake fresh bread every night, 800 loaves of it. The smell of baking yeast wafting through the ventilation ducts at 3:00 a.m. is the best smell on the ship. It smells like home. But then there are the bad days. When the deployment stretches into its fourth month without a port call, the fresh vegetables run out. The salad bar disappears, replaced by canned fruit. The milk runs out and is replaced by shelf-stable milk that comes in a box and tastes like chalk. The eggs stop being shells you crack and start being yellow powder from a bag. This is when the CSs become magicians. They have to mask the taste of preservatives with spices. They invent casseroles with names that don't exist in the civilian world. They serve hamsters, chicken cordon bleu squares that are deep-fried and processed, but somehow everyone loves them. There is a hierarchy to eating. If you are an enlisted sailor, the vast majority of the crew you eat on the mess decks. It is a cafeteria. You grab a plastic tray, you stand in line, you get a scoop of mashed potatoes, a piece of meat, and a vegetable that may or may not be identifiable. You have about 20 minutes to eat before you have to get back to work. If you are a chief petty officer, the senior enlisted leaders, you eat in the chief's mess. The food is better here. It is a point of pride. The chiefs have their own cooks. They have real plates. They have coffee mugs that no one else is allowed to touch. And if you are an officer, you eat in the wardroom. It is the closest thing to a restaurant. You pay for your meals, you have waiters, there are tablecloths. It is a different world, separated by just a few steel bulkheads from the chaos of the main galley. But there is one meal that unites everyone. Midrats, midnight rations. The ship operates on an 18-hour day. Someone is always awake, someone is always hungry. From 11:00 p.m. to 1:00 a.m., the galley opens for the night shift, the engineers, the security patrols, the mechanics. Midrats is usually leftovers or comfort food, corn dogs, breakfast burritos, ravioli. It is heavy, greasy, and absolutely necessary to survive a 12-hour shift in the middle of the night. But where does all this food come from? There are no Walmarts in the middle of the Atlantic. This brings us to the most impressive and dangerous logistical ballet on Earth, the UNREP, underway replenishment. Imagine driving a car at 60 miles per hour on the highway. Now, imagine a tanker truck pulls up next to you, matching your speed just inches away. Now, imagine trying to pass boxes of groceries from the truck to your car through the window while both of you are steering. Now, scale that up to 100,000 tons. Every 10 to 14 days, a supply ship meets the carrier. They steam side by side, connected by steel cables and high-tension hoses. It is a terrifying dance. If the ships get too close, the Venturi effect, a physics phenomenon caused by rushing water between two hulls, will literally suck them together, causing a catastrophic collision. Helicopters buzz overhead, dropping pallets of food onto the flight deck. Forklifts race around, grabbing the pallets before the next one lands. This is an all-hands evolution. Pilots, computer technicians, radar operators, everyone becomes a mover. They form human chains that stretch for hundreds of feet, passing boxes of frozen chicken, cereal, and toilet paper hand over hand down through the hatches deep into the storage freezers. It is backbreaking work, it takes hours, but no one complains much because everyone knows what is in those boxes: fresh apples, real milk, mail from home, Amazon packages. It is Christmas morning delivered by a helicopter. Once the supplies are on board, the logistics don't end. The carrier produces a massive amount of trash. What do you do with the waste of 5,000 people? You can't just dump it overboard. Plastic is the enemy. The ship has a massive industrial room devoted to trash processing. Plastic waste is melted down into solid discs, giant hockey pucks of compressed garbage that are stored on board until the ship hits port. Food waste is pulped into a slurry and discharged, but only in certain international zones. Metal and paper are compressed. It is a never-ending cycle of consumption and waste management, all happening while the ship is launching airstrikes. We have talked about the food, we have talked about the beds, but we haven't talked about the hardest part of carrier life. It isn't the work. Sailors are tough, they can handle hard work. The hardest part is the isolation. A carrier is a paradox. You are surrounded by 5,000 people. You are never, ever physically alone. Yet you can feel completely lonely. You miss your family, you miss your friends, you miss your dog. Modern carriers have internet, but it is slow, agonizingly slow. It's like trying to browse the web in 1998. You can send emails, maybe check Facebook if you are lucky. But video calls, streaming, forget it. And then there is River City. It sounds like a vacation spot. It is actually a code name for a communications blackout, when the ship is planning a secret operation, or God forbid when someone on board dies or gets seriously injured, the captain orders River City. Instantly the internet dies, the phones cut out, no signal leaves the ship, you are cut off. You don't know why, you just know that silence has fallen. It could last hours, it could last days. In that silence, rumors spread like wildfire. Are we going to war? Did someone get hurt? Is my family okay? The psychological toll is immense. To combat this, the crew creates their own world. The Recreation Department, MWR, is responsible for keeping the crew sane. There are gyms, massive gyms. Weightlifting is a religion on board. It is the one place where you can burn off the stress. You see guys who walked onto the ship skinny, and 6 months later they walk off looking like bodybuilders. It is the Swole Patrol. On Sunday mornings, the hangar bay, usually filled with bombs and jets, becomes a church. A chaplain sets up a small altar. For an hour, amidst the smell of jet fuel and grease, sailors pray. It doesn't matter what religion you are, the peace of that service is a refuge. And then there is the Steel Beach Picnic. This is the holy grail of deployment. Maybe once or twice during a long cruise, the captain shuts down flight operations. The jets are towed to the bow, the engines are silenced, barbecue grills are brought up on the elevators used for missiles. Suddenly, the flight deck, the most dangerous 4 acres on the planet, becomes a backyard barbecue. Sailors wear shorts, they play football on the non-skid surface, they eat burgers. They sit on the edge of the catwalks, dangling their legs over a 60-foot drop to the ocean, watching the sunset. For a few hours, the war stops. The rank stops. You aren't a commander or a seaman. You are just people floating on a piece of American steel trying to feel normal for an afternoon. Let's answer the question everyone asks. What about the water? You are floating in salt water. You can't drink it. The carrier has its own desalination plant. It uses nuclear heat to boil seawater, turning steam into pure distilled fresh water. The ship produces 400,000 gallons of water a day. That sounds like a lot. It isn't. The steam catapults need water to launch jets. The reactors need water. The laundry needs water. Yes, there is a laundry service. You put your dirty uniform in a mesh bag with your name on it, you drop it off. 2 days later, you pick it up. Hopefully it is clean, hopefully it is yours. Sometimes you get someone else's socks, it happens. But sometimes the water plants break, or the tactical mission requires so much steam for the jets that there isn't enough left for the showers. Water restrictions are announced. The Navy shower becomes even shorter. Sometimes the showers are turned off completely. Imagine working a 12-hour shift in a 100-degree engine room covered in oil and sweat and being told, no showers today. That is the reality. It isn't glamorous, it is gritty. Walk through the corridors of a carrier, the highways, and look at the faces. What shocks you is how young they are. The average age on a nuclear aircraft carrier is 20 years old. These are kids. They were in high school 2 years ago. Now they are responsible for maintaining nuclear weapons. They are repairing $60 million aircraft. They are steering a 100,000-ton ship through a hurricane. They have their own culture, their own slang. They call the new guys nubs, non-useful bodies. They call the sweet drink in the galley bug juice. They call the officers khakis. They form cliques and tribes. The snipes who work in the engineering pit and never see the sun. The Airedales who work on the flight deck and walk with a swagger. The intel nerds who work in the secret rooms with air conditioning. But despite the cliques, there is a bond here that is unbreakable. Shipmate. In the civilian world, coworker means someone you sit next to. Here, shipmate means someone who holds your life in their hands. When the fire alarm rings, and it does ring, everyone runs toward the fire, not away from it. Because there is nowhere to run. You can't call 911. You are the fire department. If the ship sinks, you all swim. This shared vulnerability creates friendships that last a lifetime. You see sailors sitting in the mess decks, playing spades or dominoes for hours, laughing until they cry. They share their care packages. They counsel each other through breakups. They become brothers and sisters. As the deployment nears its end, a new disease sweeps the ship, channel fever. It is the restless energy of knowing you are going home. The ship starts to clean up. The rust is painted over. Uniforms are pressed. When the pier finally comes into view, when the sailors see their families waiting on the dock, the emotion is overwhelming. The first kiss lottery winner runs off the ship to embrace their partner. Fathers meet babies born while they were away. For the world, the aircraft carrier is a symbol of power. It is a tool of foreign policy. But for the sailors, it is a thief. It steals birthdays, it steals Christmases, it steals the first steps of their children. They trade a year of their life to live in a steel box, eating powdered eggs and sleeping in a coffin rack. Why do they do it? Ask them and you will get 100 different answers. For college money, to see the world, to escape my hometown. But watch them work during a storm. Watch them run across a wet flight deck to chalk a landing jet. Watch them in the galley, laughing while they peel a mountain of potatoes. They do it for the person standing next to them. They are the citizens of the floating city. They endure the heat, the noise, and the isolation so that the rest of us don't have to. So the next time you see a picture of a massive carrier cutting through the ocean, don't just look at the jets. Think about the 19-year-old kid in the bakery waking up at 3:00 a.m. to bake 800 loaves of bread just to make sure his shipmates have a taste of home. That is the real heartbeat of American power. If you want to know more about the unseen life of the military, hit that subscribe button. We are digging deep into the stories that history books usually skip. What would be the hardest part of carrier life for you? The lack of privacy, the food, or the isolation? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, fair winds and following seas.